Okay, there we go. So first, we are going to talk about just like program updates and things to just kind of keep on your calendars. Um, the first thing that we just wanted to kind of bring back up again, we had shared it and talked about it at our member orientation in the fall, and also during any virtual orientations as members onboarded after the program year started. Um, and then we also did mention it kind of during the first few um, monthly member trainings as well. But all of you have access to the member assistance program while serving in either our VISTA program or our AmeriCorps Direct Service program. It's a great resource. We hope that you guys take advantage of it while you're with us. But they do offer, it is free to you all, like I just mentioned. It's 24/7 unlimited telephonic mental health counseling. It is voluntary and it is confidential, so you don't have to worry about your information being shared or anything like that. The provider of this service is All One Health, and if you do choose to create an account and access this resource, whenever you create your account, you would either use our program's name, so Homes for All, or you would use the organization, the Homeless and Housing Coalition of Kentucky, whichever one you prefer to use. But that's how you would get enrolled into the program, and that's so that the All One Health knows which program in the United States that you are serving with. You can access the benefits by going to mylifeexpert.com, or you can call the 1-800 number. I know I already mentioned it, but it is free and confidential. You would be assigned a licensed therapist. When on the screen it says, see the flyer or the QR code, if you are interested in accessing these benefits, we can resend, or I will attach it to the recap email that I'll send out a little later this afternoon, so that you have it. You don't have to ask us for it. So, if you want to keep it private, you have that information. You can, take, you can look at the flyer, or you can, hold your camera on your phone over the QR code and go to the website that way. They also offer not only mental health counseling, but they can help you with any type of, like, maybe if you have like a medical bill or something, they can kind of work around ways on how to get that taken care of. They offer like a work-life balance resource. So I just wanted to name a few of the other resources that you would have available through that program. Yeah, like I said, I'll send out that flyer so you have that information available to you, and you can, sign up if you want to. The next thing we wanted to bring up and talk about is AmeriCorps Week. Every year every year there is a week in March that is dedicated to AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps service. So we wanted to let you all know this now, so that you can be on the lookout for just a brief form that we will send out to you all to complete. It's just going to, include, like, your information, where you're serving at in the state, what organization you're serving with. You can include some of your primary, some of the primary activities that you're doing. And we wanted to create this form for you all to fill out, because during that week, we are going to highlight you all through our social media. So, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. HHCK will share those too. But yeah, it's just kind of to highlight you all and the great services that you're doing across the Commonwealth. We ask that you provide a picture of you in your AmeriCorps gear, so that we can include it with our social media posts that we schedule throughout the week of March 12th through the 18th. Your sites are also more than welcome to highlight the service that you're doing and the things that you've accomplished while you've been with their organization. But this is just a little something that we are going to do during that week in March as well. So, like I said, that form, we'll send it out at the beginning of March, probably. Yeah, I'll send it out with our monthly email. So it's just right there where we do, our monthly emails. And so you only have to look at one place for it and just, fill it out and send it back to us. We would really appreciate that. Also coming up in May, so I know it's February, but May will be here before you know it. There will be a training called Success After AmeriCorps. And this is a virtual training, and it will be hosted by Serve Kentucky, our State Service Commission, and EKU, or Eastern Kentucky University. That training will be on May 10th. Attendance is required. The sessions are still being flushed out, but they had this training last year, and I thought it was a really great training, especially for it to be virtual. So the information that we know right now as Serve Kentucky and other, our program and other AmeriCorps programs and EKU all plan the sessions. We do know, though, that the training will be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. That is Eastern Standard Time. So if you are in Central Time, that would be 8 to 2. When we get the Zoom link, we will send that out to everyone along with reminders. We'll put it on our Google Calendar. So whenever you log into your America Learns account, you'll have that link right there. You can add it to your own calendar. So we'll be sure that we get everything sent out to you, also the registration. When that link is sent to us, we'll get that out. And if you have any questions with the registration link or anything like that, we'll be sure to either help you or give you the information to the person at EKU and that could better assist you. So just put that on your calendar, May 10th. There is a virtual training that is required to participate with. Next, we'll talk about the Spring Service Project. So this is the first year since COVID that we have been able to offer the Spring Service Project. When I was a member, it was such a great experience. It's still something that I remember the 2 years that I served. We are still in the process of planning it, but we did want to go ahead and talk about it today because we want you all to keep the week of April 17th open. Start looking at your calendars. We don't know what 2 days during that week we will be doing our project, but it will be 2 full days during the week of April 17th. We're going to be in Hazard, Kentucky. We're going to be working with Housing Development Alliance. There is still a lot of flood recovery happening in that area, and we are so excited to be in Hazard and helping out and seeing the great work that HDA is doing for Perry County and the surrounding counties in that area. There will be options for construction service and also non-construction activities. So I will be sending out the registration for the spring service project with the recap email that I will send out at the later on this afternoon. And you can let us know if you plan on doing construction or non-construction activities. It's a short registration, but we just need everybody to sign up for that so we can get a good head count on who will be with us. We hope that everybody will be. We ask that you complete that registration form by Friday because I will be reaching back out to HDA, the contact that I've been working with, so that they do have a better idea of how big our group is going to be. That also helps with meals and lodging. Because we have to nail down those dates and how many rooms and how many people are going to be with us so that we can make this possible. And we don't want to wait too close to that week in April because then we'll just be like running around and we don't want to do that. So I will send that out. It will be included in the recap email. So please just complete that registration whenever you see that email. Along with that, we ask that if you have members in your area to carpool, we will provide mileage reimbursement. From my understanding, the days do start at about 8 a.m. So if you have, a pretty long commute, we will make sure that we have a room for you the night before, so you're not having to drive, super far away, and then also, complete a day of service as well. So we'll make sure that everybody is accommodated, and we just really can't wait to be in Hazard and do our spring service project and kind of get back to the way things were before COVID. It is a requirement for our program. Becky, you can talk to me one-on-one. That's fine. And that Terry asked a good question. Who pays for the hotel? Our program does. So you're not out any cost for that expense. And this is just a brief slide about taxes. If you are an AmeriCorps Direct member, W-2s have been sent out by HHCK's Director of Finance. If you have any questions about that, you can reach out to me or Caitlin. We'll help you, answer any questions that you might have about that. Vistas. Make sure that your address, and we've been saying this since December, but Vista, your W-2s come directly from Vista at the federal level. They mail your W-2 to the address that you have on file in your My AmeriCorps account. If for some reason you haven't received your W-2 or you have questions about it, you should direct those questions to the AmeriCorps hotline. Again, we don't have a lot of information. Those W-2s do not come from our office. So AmeriCorps at the federal level is going to be the place that you need to direct all of your questions to. This slide is for Vista members only, but today the quarterly report that covers November December and January is due back to our office today. Caitlin sent out an email to sites in January that included a fillable PDF. That quarterly report is all based on information that your site filled out and completed whenever they completed the application to host a Vista project. So if you haven't already, get that sent over to us this afternoon. You can either email it to me or Caitlin or both of us. And that is a PDF. That report should be completed by you and also reviewed by your supervisor, just to make sure that there's no, everything's kind of on track. Everybody is seeing kind of the same things, and just making sure everybody's on the same page for your project. And then this is a reminder for our AmeriCorps Direct Service members. The 15th of every month, a new AmeriCorps service forms and volunteer forms are due today as well. So any new households that you served in January, please fill out the service forms and email them over to me. If you have any households that were housed in January, you can fill out the wrap-up forms for those households and send them over to me as well. As you all know, at this point in the program year, you can scan and email the forms back to me. You can take a picture and text it to me, or you can mail the hard copies to me. Every monthly email, I include the PDF versions as an attachment on those monthly emails. And so if you just, search that in your inbox, your email inbox, you should be able to find those forms to, download back to your computer and fill them in. Or if you would like those hard copies, I can mail them to you as well. It's the same with the volunteer forms. You can fill out that form and scan it and email it to me. You can write it in and take a picture and text it to me, or you can mail that hard copy to me as well. If you have any questions about the service forms, feel free to call me and we can talk about it. So if you have any new households that you have not reported on, or if you have from January or previous months that you haven't submitted to our office, please do that this afternoon. We would really appreciate it. Does anyone have any questions before we move on? Okay, you can write any questions in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. That's no problem. Teresa, so the report that you fill out is the Vista quarterly report. If I need to forward it to you, I definitely will. The service forms are for the direct service members. So I can send that to you as well. I know that you do. There is a construction member there. So if you want to keep them on file on your computer, whatever you can. Yep. Yeah, I'll do that. That's no problem at all. I'll write myself a note. And yeah, the spring service project is a requirement. We went over it. I know it's been a hot minute, but we did go over it during our orientation in August. It was part of the member development plan. But you're more than welcome to talk to me or Caitlin about anything. So yeah, what happens next is we're going to take about a 3-minute break, and then I'm going to hand it over to Caitlin, and she's going to do the training in just a few minutes. So hang tight, get a drink of water or coffee or tea or whatever, and we will get started. We'll get started at 2:30. I'll leave it at that. That's a good even number to start at. So I'm going to mute myself until then. Thank you all.
Great. Okay. Well, it's so good to be with you all today. I'm excited to talk to you about setting boundaries in your service. I'm sure many of you have already done that, but where we're getting into February, or we're halfway through February, it's cold outside, you've been in service for a while. And yeah, it's just always a good topic to revisit. And then we'll also talk a little bit about some time management tips that I have found helpful during my professional career. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I think I'm already doing that. I know Holly will tell me if I'm not.
I think as long as you hit the present mode, we should be good.
Okay. God bless you, Holly. Yeah, it's like crazy that I still don't know how to do this. Okay. All right. So yeah, we're going to talk about healthy boundaries. And I want to talk to you about setting boundaries when it comes to your service. So there are many types of boundaries and like different contexts for your boundaries, but I want to talk about you all in your service and how you can finish the rest of your term out strong and feeling good about yourself and what your service experience was. And I think boundaries are an important part of that. So there are multiple definitions. If you Google boundaries, you're going to find many different people saying many different things. But what I mean when I'm talking to you today is the limits and rules that we set for ourselves within relationships. So it's helping us identify reasonable ways for how we respond when someone passes or ignores or violates our boundaries. And sometimes when people violate, it's not intentional. They might not be trying to hurt you. They don't know what your boundaries are. Healthy boundaries mean that you can say no, but you're still an open individual, still welcoming to relationships, all of that. Boundaries are not ultimatums. You're not saying, if you talk to them again, we're done and I'm never talking to you either. It makes me uncomfortable when you speak to them. Here's why. And here's what I'd like to do moving forward. Something like that. And boundaries are all about your personal power rather than forcing or controlling someone else. When we're looking at different categories of boundaries, we can talk about rigid boundaries that people might have, meaning they're more inflexible. So we're avoiding intimacy or close relationships. We're unlikely to ask for help. We're keeping a distance, and we're really protective of our personal self and who we are. Porous boundaries mean we overshare. We might be over-involved with other people, especially our coworkers. You might have difficulty saying no. You fear rejection, and then you're dependent on the opinions of others. Healthy boundaries means that we value our own opinions. We're not compromising our values and who we are. We know what our personal wants and needs are. and you accept when others say no and set up their own boundaries. So typically we have a mix of these boundaries in all parts of our lives. So when it comes to your service, another work job that you might have, family, all those things. Y'all are going to have to forgive me. I have this crazy cough today. Okay. I mean, you can find anywhere in between, like, I swear, 5 to 10 different types of boundaries. But when I'm talking to you today, I'm talking about like intellectual boundaries, your physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, your time and material, and personal and professional. So an example of like a physical boundary would maybe mean that you're not comfortable like hugging someone or them greeting you very closely. So maybe it's giving them a quick smile and saying, I don't want to shake your hand, but I'm very happy to meet you. Something like that. Or I brought lunch to work today and I'm on a budget, so I won't be going out to eat today. Something like that. Yeah. If anybody has anything to say in the chat, of course, you're more than welcome to, or unmute yourself and share your experiences with boundaries. Oh, where did my slide go? Okay, we're just gonna wing it. Signs that you might need boundaries. So taking responsibility for other people's actions, thoughts, or feelings, making you believe that you can make others like you or by avoid judgment from other people. It can make you angry, negative, and resentful. And that can indicate that you've lost touch or you haven't set those boundaries. Your needs come first. That's what's most important. It doesn't mean that others' needs aren't important, but you don't want to tolerate something at your own expense. And another sign you might need to set boundaries is people can become passive aggressive or manipulative or harmful. And it can also lead to people becoming martyrs, like nothing can get done if I don't do it all, and I don't have any time to rest because I just have so much to do. And homelessness still exists, so I need to work all day long to get that done. Another sign you might need to set boundaries is if you're shifting like the core of who you are and the essence of yourself to suit someone else. Like you might be shifting your personality to blend in with the context. So this is a quick graphic showing you the vicious cycle of unhealthy work boundaries. It says work boundaries, but I do think this applies to interpersonal relationships as well. So people are infringing on you, violating those boundaries, or ignoring them. And then to accommodate that, you're sacrificing your own needs, which can affect the expectations that are put upon you because you sacrifice your need to get a project done sooner, or provide more services, or whatever it might be. And then it leads back to people continuing to infringe on your workload and your boundaries. And y'all, I know I keep saying work and we really harp that it's service, but we're just going to go with it for today. Okay, why do we set boundaries? It's helpful when you're focusing on your AmeriCorps service because setting those boundaries helps separate what you've got going on at your site from your personal life. I know it's very easy in this type of work to bring it home. You're dealing with very real people in very hard and tough situations. And even if you are a capacity building member, you still see that stuff. You still have a lot of struggles that you go through as well that you might take home. And we don't want that for you because it's going to lead to burnout if it hasn't already. You're there to fulfill your position responsibilities. So whatever outlined in your Vista assignment description or your AmeriCorps position description. We want you to protect yourself and the site. Not that it's your job to protect the site, but when you protect yourself, you're going to have those boundaries with clients, staff, and volunteers, which just keeps a positive working relationship between you and the site and leads to a better service experience. Once again, we're avoiding that martyrdom that I'm the most crucial person and nothing can go on without me. So I need to just work all the time and get everything done, and thinking that no one else can do what I do or parts of what I do. Understanding that service it is a professional experience. And so by setting those boundaries, once again, you can look back, see what went well, and take that on to your next opportunity and leave with a favorable outlook of what you spent a year of your life doing. And if you're a direct service member, you're empowering your clients by not doing everything for them, by setting those boundaries. Boundaries are not saying like saying you can't do something, you can't call me after 9 p.m. for work. It's setting how you would respond to it. So instead of saying you can't call me, I won't return any calls or emails until I'm back to work at 9 or whatever. Okay, setting our boundaries in national service. So how do we make this happen? We want to be open and honest about how we're feeling, what our needs are, what our wants are. And if not now, if or then could it happen? And so what can our staff do for you? What can your site supervisor do for you? Please communicate with us or your site supervisor to see if we can help make that happen. Identifying a support system. And once again, focusing on your position description or your VADs. That is the core of your service, what you're there to do. And so if you feel like you've been pulled in a million different directions or what you're doing doesn't focus on that stuff or that position description, once again, talk to us or talk to your site supervisor, because it might be people that don't even supervise you that are asking you to do all these things. And that can be overwhelming and lead to exhaustion and burnout as well. And if you've taken any communication class, sure you've heard about I statements. It's referring to behaviors or the situation or how it makes someone feel, not the person. So instead of, I hate that you never do the dishes, I feel it makes me so angry, you never do them. It can be, when I have to do all the dishes, it makes me feel like I don't have a supportive partner. And when you contribute to that, it feels like we're an equal team. Something like that. Okay, so it's definitely okay to set boundaries. It isn't mean or spiteful. You can still be a caring, valuable, compassionate, helpful part of the team. It is part of self-care. Boundaries help you protect yourself and minimize stress and burnout. And I saw this quote on the internet, I don't even know when, so I don't have like a bibliography to share with you on where I got it. But I think this quote is applicable. The only people who get angry when you set your boundaries are the people who benefited from you having them. Okay, and this graphic I found from topherpayne.com. I think he's like a playwright or someone with Broadway. But he wrote a little blog post on setting healthy boundaries. And if anyone's heard of the Giving Tree book, it's a play on that. This man, from the time he's a boy, asked for so much out of this tree, and the tree keeps giving and giving and giving. And it says, I'm too busy to climb trees, said the boy. I want a house to keep me warm, he said. I want a wife and I want children, and so I need a house. Can you give me a house? And the tree's boundary is, okay, hold up. This is already getting out of hand. So I just think that's, a cute way to sum up what we've talked about. And for you to keep in mind as you move forward. So does anyone have anything you want to share or ask about, or any boundaries that you have found that you need to set yourself while you're in service? Okay. Well, hopefully you all have set them. They're going well. If you need any help with setting boundaries, you can always reach out to Holly or me. I know she typed in the chat that we have the member assistance program available to you, and you could talk with like a licensed person, not just me rambling at you over Ring Central, and they can help you work through that. Sonia, that's a great recommendation. No service stuff on your personal phone. Something I do on the weekends is turn off the notifications on my Gmail app so I don't see them over the weekend, even if someone emails me, because that's one of my boundaries. People can contact me after hours anytime, but I'm not going to respond to them until the next day unless it's an emergency. Okay. Well, I'm going to move into the next topic then. We're going to talk about some time management tips. So bear with me a second. Does everyone have nice weather where they're at today? I hope so. Good, good. Hope you were able to get out and enjoy it a little bit. I was saying earlier that if it's like winter and it's over 60 degrees, you shouldn't be allowed. You shouldn't be forced to work on those days. Everyone should just get a day to enjoy the sunshine and fresh air. Okay. All right, we're moving into time management. Okay. This was a presentation that I developed for our organization, HHCK's staff retreat a couple years ago. And these are my recommendations from what I have found helpful, what I've heard to be helpful to other people. So it's not one size fit all. I'm not telling you this is exactly what you should be doing, or if you're not doing this, you're wasting your time. I just hope I'm able to provide even one piece of information or suggestion to you that you haven't heard about that, might end up being useful to you. And so yeah, one size does not fit all. If you hear something that you think would work with you or you'd be able to integrate today, I think that's great. And as always, if you have any time management tips or something for the good of the group, please share. Oh, clicking right through it. Okay, general recommendations for time management, trying to limit the amount of time we spend multitasking. I know there are a lot of studies out there that say that multitasking actually doesn't even exist. No one's multitasking successfully. So if you can try and focus on one thing at a time, it's likely to be easier and gets done quicker. Prioritizing tasks, maybe starting at the beginning of the day and saying, this is what I need to get done, and this is the order that I'm going to do it in. Some of us have open-ended projects, or if we're a direct service member, you have case notes to do all the time. And you might not have a hard deadline for those things, or maybe like a community engagement project. But if you're able to create an internal deadline to help meet those goals, that can be helpful. That's something that I need for myself, particularly if I'm writing a grant or something like that. I need to schedule time to make sure those things get done so that I'm not running up to the deadline. Limiting distractions when possible. So if I'm really focused on something, I do shut my door. I think everyone at HHCK knows that if they need me, they're welcome to knock on my door and open it up. But it helps me focus on what I'm doing because I will easily just look out my door, which I'm looking at right now, and see who's walking by or what's going on. Setting up reminders, so that kind of goes along with the internal deadline that I was talking about. So maybe you put something on your calendar or an alarm on your phone, whatever works. Most important tasks first. So that's essentially prioritizing tasks, but identifying what ones like you really need to get done today or soon. Self-care is essential to time management because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're tired, you're unmotivated, stressed out. So managing stress is also really important. Yeah, when you're feeling your best, you can put your best self forward. Challenges of burnout. It's easy to fall behind. Missing deadlines might happen more often. A personal example, when I came back from parental leave about a year ago, deadlines were something that I rarely missed. And after coming back to work after having a kid, I've had to readjust how I work. I've had to change how I monitor my to-do list and my calendar because there were a couple pretty important deadlines that I did miss myself. And that's, again, just not something that I was used to doing. And I think a lot of that came from being burnt out after having a kid and adjusting back into work. So I did have to do some intentional, give some intentional effort to make sure that I wasn't as burnout and taking care of myself in this new role. Procrastinating, I think that is a really typical thing you see when people are burning out, especially if it's hard to get the motivation to get things done. It's easy to leave things up to the last minute. And I know some people thrive on that. That's how I operated all throughout college. I would not recommend it, but I know some people, that's a default that they fall to. Feeling disengaged, things might not matter to you as much. What you're doing doesn't feel important or needed. And so you're like, why am I doing this every day? Why am I showing up? And some of that can be like real genuine feeling, but some of it might also just come from being burnt out. And ultimately, being burnt out does affect your mental health and your personal life. So trying to manage that burnout so we can get that work-life balance back in order. Benefits of time management. So it helps you feel in control, like, of your own agency and what you're doing. It can help feel like you have more time in the day. So there are 24 hours every day, but if we're able to use it a bit more effectively, then it might feel like we've gotten some time back to ourselves. It helps us establish better boundaries between work and personal time. It can reduce that stress and improve productivity. So when I share this slide with you, I'm not trying to say like you're just cogs in the machine. You're there to get, do your work, and we're just focused on getting the maximum whatever out of you. But I know, or I hope, all of you in service, you're wanting to make the most and gain as much knowledge as you can in your service. And we want that for you as well. So that's what I'm referring to when I talk about this. Okay, these are just some suggestions, once again, that I have found work for myself, and they may work for you as well. Planning your week in advance or on a daily basis. So usually every Monday, I'll take the first hour that I'm here or so and figure out what I'm doing this week. Um, I add stuff to my calendar. So if I'm going to work on a grant report, then I'll block off 2.5 hours to focus on that specific section of that grant report or whatever. Identifying tasks for specific days. So if a position you're in might be like heavy paperwork, you're having to write case notes or whatever that might be, you can work on those things like on Tuesday if that's a day that fits for you, or Fridays might be the day you catch up on that stuff. Budgeting your time. This is a concept that I've not really tried, but it's working for 52 minutes. Like, I'm on it. This is what I'm doing for 52 minutes. And then taking that 17-minute break. The 17 minutes are supposed to be enough for you to kind of reset and recharge. Maybe you go for a walk or you go get take a coffee break or whatever your needs are. And then you're able to get back to that 52 minutes of getting stuff done. Periodically, you can conduct a time audit and seeing if like what you set up for time management is working. Like, is it ideal? Is it flowing well? Or do I need to rearrange things? Because what does my day or week actually end up looking like? Are there some adjustments that need to happen? When you're managing your time, it's still important to be flexible when things don't go as planned. A lot of us are working with other people to get things done. So you're relying on other individuals, other people's deadlines as well when you're trying to get something done. And some of us might be in a holding pattern when it comes to some of the programs that we work with. So if you're waiting to hear from like a funding source, if that program is going to continue, or if it's going to go somewhere else, what are we doing? What's happening? And so it can affect what we're doing with our specific position responsibility. Creating to-do lists. There's multiple ways you can do that. A good old pen and paper. I know there are plenty of like productivity websites out there that we'll talk about. But however that works for you is an easy way to manage your time. Making like email free zones. So like for a while, I would close my inbox from like 9 a.m. to 9:50. So like 15 minutes of an hour, I just don't have it open. And then I reserve that 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever it ends up being, to then respond to emails. So I'm not distracted by emails pinging through if I'm trying to get something done that's important. And always being willing to ask for help. So if you notice that your coworker or someone else you know is really good at managing their time, asking for ideas from them. Oh, and you can even ask like your site supervisor or someone at your organization that's been there for a while. Like, how do you do what you do? They've been there for a while. They've got things down pat. And so seeing how they're able to manage their time. So everyone is going to experience some time sucks. It's inevitable. But it's more about how you respond to those time sucks. So when interruptions happen, what boundaries you're going to set to take those away or get back on track to what you're doing. Budgeting time. So I love to go visit my coworkers and talk. But it's important for me that I am able to say, like, I have X amount of time to spend with you. Or if someone comes into my office, that's something I'm able to say as well. It also works when you're working with clients directly. So if you have a client come visit you and they love to talk, saying, I have 10 minutes and then I got to get back to whatever I'm doing. Turning off notifications on your phone or going into do not disturb mode. I keep my phone on a scheduled summary pattern. So I receive an update at 7 a.m., at noon, and then again at 8 p.m. Because I like to get a lot of news delivered to my phone. But when you have headline after headline, pinging at you, I'm looking at my phone, And so I have to get those at a specific time so I'm not distracted. And then limiting social media engagement. I know most of us get on there periodically throughout the day. But trying to be mindful of how much time we're spending on that, while we're trying to get our work done. Okay, these are really like the practical tips that I was referring to when I was talking about time management, things for you to implement. So scheduling time for your timesheets. We all get a calendar reminder here at HHCK at noon on Wednesdays to make sure we get our timesheets in for the past week. That's something that could work well for you, especially our direct service members, where we have you submit timesheets on a weekly basis as well, so you don't get too far behind. Personalizing your workflow. So again, maybe trying something new out and assessing how well it works, and then adjusting and making it feel true to you and the way you work. Getting up and moving around for a few minutes can be really beneficial. Changing positions frequently. I know some people really thrive using a standing desk so that they can move from being up to moving down, or just even changing how you are sitting in your seat. Organizing your physical workspace. I love being organized. I love all my little cubicles and my boxes and my pen holder cup. So if that's something that you feel like goes with your flow and it helps you focus because you're not distracted by the 15 things on your desk, it can just make your space calm and quiet for you to give your attention to what you're working on. Taking the time to learn different systems and products that maybe your site uses. If you use Google Suite, or if you use Outlook or Adobe or whatever it might be, taking the time to figure out how to use it and use it effectively. So with Adobe Acrobat in particular, I've spent a lot of time learning all its features and its functions so that not only do I have that knowledge for myself, but I am able to share with others. And then when I do use Adobe, it doesn't take me as long to create a fillable PDF or whatever it might be. And once again, tying it back to those boundaries, setting those healthy boundaries regarding your schedule and communication. So I know some people, they might think of something at night, or if they work an atypical schedule, they might be sending emails that are out of that 9 to 5 typical day. So there's a feature in Google, you can do a scheduled send, so you can draft that email and send it, but it won't hit until whatever time you scheduled it for the next day or later that day for someone to see. That's something that I've implemented as well. So, I might have an idea that I want to share with Holly and I don't want to forget it, but I know if it pops up on her phone, then she'll look at it and start thinking about work, and I don't want that for her. So I might hit schedule send to arrive at her inbox at 8:30 a.m. or whatever. And then you can also create a draft. So if you don't have schedule send available to you, typing out whatever it is you were going to share or talk about, and then hitting send the next day when you're back at your inbox. If you're still working remotely, or you might be serving from home some days, I think we all tried to figure out what works best for us during the height of the pandemic, when we were all mostly working from home if we were able to. So some things: pretend like you're going to the office, so getting dressed, having that dedicated workspace. This is my time devoted to what I'm doing. I tried to work in my bedroom for a good part of the pandemic, and that did not work. because that's where I spend part of my personal time. That's where I sleep at night. But I'm working where I'm sleeping, and it wasn't good for my mental health. Taking a lunch break. So it's easy to just like focus on your computer and get whatever you need to get done, but we want to give ourselves a break so we can move around. We make sure we're taking care of ourselves by eating or whatever that might be, but breaking up that time throughout the day so that it doesn't all just run together and then we're overwhelmed at the end of the day or overwhelmed throughout the day. Limiting personal tasks. So that was part of my struggle during the height of the pandemic when I was working from home. I would sit or stand wherever I was working, and then I would see, oh, that laundry needs to get done. Or, oh, I need to unload the dishwasher. I think we all did that like periodically and intermittently, and that was totally fine, but it was really happening quite a bit with me. And so I did have to be very mindful of that. And, schedule that time. So I would do it during that lunch break or whatever. And then putting emphasis on boundaries. So boundaries within yourself and then with whoever you share a household with, if you do share a household with someone else or other people, and with, your place of service or work. So you're not spending all day and all night working because it's right there in front of you. Okay, here are my even further specific tools that have been really helpful for me, but these are pretty Google heavy. I use Google Chrome and HHCK uses Google Suite, so there are a lot of features to Google and Google Chrome. So if you don't use that, I apologize. This isn't going to be relevant, but Google Chrome, you can add extensions, productivity extensions. You can just look like in the Google App Store and find ones to add that can track you while you're using Chrome or using G Suite to help you like with your to-do list or productivity or seeing how much time you spend on a particular task. Google Calendar is one of my favorite things to use. I'm able to see my coworker schedule. I'm able to schedule meetings. I'm able to, once again, like dedicate that time to a specific task. So I block off that time on my calendar so other people can see what I'm working on and if I'm available or not. There's a lot of other features to Google Calendar if you take the time to look around. Google Drive for desktop, if your agency uses Google or G Suite, I highly, highly recommend this app. It installs Drive on your desktop, so you're not having to use a browser to work in Google Suite or like Google Docs or downloading something and then re-uploading it. You can open it straight from the desktop app, and then once you're done using whatever file, it'll sync back into Google Drive, the shared drive, or even your personal drive. It also just looks more, I find like Google Suite to be like a little clunky when I'm looking in drives. And so it's just a cleaner look for me and helps me keep track of what I'm doing. There's a few Gmail hacks out there for you. I talked about schedule send. There's several other ones. It can predict your text based on how you've typed before. So it's easy to hit tab and then it puts it in there for you. There's auto responses that it generates. And so you can click those. It says like, will do, thanks. And you can just click that and send it back to the person or reply to the person. There are a few time management sites. Asana is one that we used here at HHCK, but there's also, now I'm not going to think of a single one. I think there's Monday.com. Do any of your sites use one of those? I'm trying to think. Now I can't think of anything else. And then my last suggestion is Grammarly. This is an extension you can add to Chrome. Would guess it's available to other browsers, but you can install it and it checks what you're typing. It can even do it like in your Word documents. It checks literally for grammar to see if there's a more concise way to say things. And it also helps with spelling. I consider myself to be a good speller, but there are some words that I just can never get. So I don't have to spend as much time like focusing on making sure I spelled it correctly. I type it out and then it can correct for me. So I find Grammarly really helpful as well. And I think, quite honestly, it's made me a better writer since I started using it when I was in college. So, okay, those are all my slides. Does anyone, oh, look, we got a few suggestions. Connie uses Toggle. Is that like a productivity? What is Toggle?
They have a couple different. I use their Toggle tracks kind of as a timesheet, but it's nice because you can have different categories. So and then pick a little color, and then you can run reports, and so see how much time you've spent on however you decided to kind of code your tasks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's free. At least, I mean, they have some paid stuff, but all the stuff I do is free, and it's Toggle Track. But then I know they have at least one or two other things that I haven't explored. So yeah,
very cool. Thank you. It looks like Peyton likes Outlook. Yeah, I liked Outlook for a really long time. I did not care for Gmail. And then something switched. I don't know what, but yeah, I think Outlook can be great. I like the way the emails flow in. I think it's an easier order to read if there's multiple emails in a thread.
But yeah, that's what our work emails are through, and then we can use SharePoint. We have a shared calendar that all the staff puts their events in, shared files, and all of that. So
great, thank you. Sonia says Microsoft has Editor. They do have Editor. Thank you. I think that's really improved over the last couple of years. I do notice when I'm using Word that it will correct my spelling or help me come up with concise language because I can be a pretty wordy person. Sonia also says Canva. Yeah, so if you do any like marketing or outreach, or maybe you're developing like a flyer for a client, Canva is beautiful. You can personalize like the style. So that's what we use for our social media posts. There are AmeriCorps colors that we stick with. And so we're able, whatever template we use in Canva, we just click our colors and then everything flows. Okay, I'm not familiar with Notion. Eddie, do you want to tell us more?
You can kind of do anything you need to do in Notion. I use it for like task tracking. You can make graphs in it. You can also embed things from other apps. Like you can embed things from Google Drive or like Word documents into it. So it's really good to like keep everything organized in one place. And there's a phone app, so you can keep it on you all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna have to look into that. And then Nicholas talked about SurveyMonkey. Yeah, that's great. Monday.com. Yeah, I think that's a good tool as well. We considered using that instead of Asana. And then using his site's own website. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I have. If no one else wants to share, I appreciate everyone that did share, and I appreciate all of you hopping on the call today and listening to our updates. And hopefully you had something to take away from what we talked about. I always welcome any recommendations. If you have any time management tips you want to share, you're welcome to do that. We can add them to this presentation and give you credit, and we can put it on the website for you all to reference later. So All right. Well, with that, I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Get outside if that's what you like to do. Even just like hang out on your patio or your porch. Yeah, enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Bye, everyone.
Can we go?